Fantasy football week 3 tight ends starts, sits, and waiver plays. We're going to be working through game by game the tight end starts, sits, and maybe some touchdown predictions as well. Then we'll give you some waiver wire plays, some daily fantasy sleepers, and at the end for our live stream, we'll answer some questions as well. We have a lot to get through, so let's just dig right in. Thursday Night Football, Mike Gesicki is a start for me. I think he could be good, but there is some question there. Was last week an aberration? Or was it a sign of things to come? I think if you have a fantasy football team that needs a tight end and he's still available on waivers, stash him. Let's see if he does it 2 weeks in a row. If he is, then it is a good sign. But don't bet everything. It's only been 2 games, everybody. So, it could have been a matchup-specific thing. But either way, maybe daily fantasy, play him. Jacksonville, although I like Tyler Eifert in this system, I don't have him as a start this week. So there you go. Chicago versus Atlanta. Jimmy Graham. I actually do have him as possibly getting the end zone, like a 2-catch, 15-yard, 1-touchdown type game. So if you're in a touchdown-only league, a standard league, maybe that's a good tight end to play off a bench. But I think you can do better this week. Hayden Hurst, I think, gets in the end zone this week. I have him as a start and ranked as the 5th ranked tight end. He's somebody in daily fantasy I might look at buying on the cheap rather than buy like a guy like Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews or somebody like that. Cincinnati, here's an interesting one. With Uzma out, Drew Sample, I actually have ranked, my computers, not me, my computers rank him as the number 4 tight end. What does that say to me, and how do I use the computer projections? That to me says, that's interesting. There's a consolidation of targets. We know Joe Burrow is going to throw the ball regardless of situation. Drew Sample to me is a daily fantasy sleeper play. I'm not going to put him in on my roster, but he's a daily fantasy sleeper play. If you're looking for that really cheap tight end, he's the guy for me this week. Philadelphia, I think you start both tight ends just based on volume and the way this offensive system is predicated on throwing to 2 tight ends. They don't have any threat on the outside at wide receiver there. They have to use the tight ends. I don't have great projections on them, but just based on usage, you start Ertz, you start Goddard. Houston versus Pittsburgh, Darren Fells and Akins. Here's the deal. With DeAndre Hopkins being traded, now Will Fuller out, there's going to be a massive distribution of targets. That means David Johnson's going to get catches out of the backfield, Duke Johnson as well if healthy. You're going to see Cobb and Cooks kind of split targets and everything. The tight ends are going to be more of a factor on the goal line. I think they'll be very good. Darren Fells, I like one of these tight ends more if the other one gets injured. So I'm staying away from him now, but keep a very close eye on this with Will Fuller out. Pittsburgh, Ebron, the receivers are so good there. I'm just selling on Pittsburgh tight ends every week. It's too volatile a position, daily fantasy, whatever. I'm selling on him. Las Vegas, Darren Waller. Look, I know he's playing the Patriots. I know they're going to do everything they can to stop him. You got to start Darren Waller. He's a physical freak. Now, it's funny because he's so good that the Raiders almost exclusively use him as a decoy in the goal line. So it's frustrating if you have him because he doesn't get a lot of touchdowns. But there was a play, I don't know if you're a Raiders fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a play that they brought him in motion right when he got to about the quarterback on his way across the line. He went into a dead sprint. Right? So you think that, the ball's got to be going there over there as a defense. He took 2 defenders with him, opened it up for the fullback or something to come in and catch a tight end. That's what they've been doing for like 2 years with this guy. But he's that dynamic. At some point, teams are going to have to get wise and start single covering him on the goal line. And when that happens, Waller could catch 2 touchdowns a week. So you start him every week. I don't care who he's playing. New England, I actually have a start grade on Izzo, but it's Izzo. I'm not starting that. And plus, on the goal line is where he'd get his stuff. Cam Newton's running too much on the goal line. If I'm going to pick a pass receiver on the goal line, it's going to be N'Keal Harry for me personally. The Rams, Tyler Higbee is a start. I like him this week. Buffalo, Dawson Knox, he's questionable. I have him as a sit, and I stay away from the other backups there. San Francisco, Kittle, assuming he plays, is a start for me. I don't have a great projection on him, but it's Kittle. You start him. Now, because he's a little banged up, because the 49ers receivers are banged up, I actually think they'll do a lot of 2 tight end. My computers project Jordan Reed very poorly. I personally, my gut tells me he's going to be used more and could be a touchdown candidate. So I would roll the dice. If you're hurting at tight end, he's one guy I would pick up off of waivers if still there and play. New York Giants, Evan Ingram, it's not a good grade on him. I'm sitting Evan Ingram this week. I'm probably picking up somebody off of waivers. The analytics are so bad on him, and I know that they'll have to pass more and all that. I'm sitting Evan Ingram against this 49ers defense. Tennessee, Jonnu Smith is a definite start for me this week. He's still available for a lot of people on waiver wire, so pick him up if you need that tight end. Minnesota, Kyle Rudolph, could start him, but I'm not going to. There you go. Washington, Logan Thomas, he's going to get targets. He might lead the team in targets this week. You got to start him every week. The only thing holding him back is that Haskins they haven't been great in the red zone, and Haskins, He's not looking good as a quarterback. He's a little bit too raw, but Thomas will get you catches and yardage. And they've tried to throw to him. Actually, he should have had a touchdown last week. Haskins missed him. So Thomas is going to be a weekly start for me at this point. If he's still available on waivers, snap him up. And he is for a lot of people. Cleveland, Austin Hooper. Go ahead and start him. One of these tight ends is going to get in the end zone. It's either going to be him or Harrison Bryant. Start Hooper this week. Carolina versus the Chargers. Ian Thomas. No, I don't like tight ends in this system. Very similar to Arizona. I think they go wide receiver. I'm not into it. With Justin Herbert starting, I like Hunter Henry a lot more. You can start him. New York Jets. I'm staying away from every New York Jet not named Jamison Crowder or Le'Veon Bell when he comes back and is healthy. I'm just staying away. I don't care what the analytics say, and the analytics don't like him this week either. Indianapolis. Jack Doyle would be a start if he plays. If not, I think you'd be very comfortable starting Allie Cox. Either one of these starting tight ends for Indianapolis, I think he can plug and play this week. Dallas, Dalton Schultz. There's too much receiver that I like this week. I do like his projection against Seattle, but Dallas's wide receivers are so strong. I think that's where they're going to go. Yes, I know Seattle's secondary, they're very good. It's going to be an interesting test. I'm going to stay away from Dalton Schultz. If he looks good this week, then we can talk about him a little bit more. That's how I feel. Greg Olsen, I have as a bottom line starter, more of in the standard league or daily fantasy. He's more of a touchdown candidate than a catches and yardage guy. Plus, he was completely non-existent last week against New England, which is interesting because Russell Wilson 3 for 5 touchdowns. Detroit versus Arizona. TJ Hawkinson is a start. Arizona, I stay away from tight ends every week. But TJ Hawkinson, I like this week. Even if Golladay comes back, I like him. It only makes him stronger, in my opinion, on the goal line. Tampa Bay, I'm staying away. Too much murkiness with Gronkowski and Howard. I'm just going to stay away. Denver, Noah Fant. No Cortland Sutton there. Teams keying in on Judy. They're going to try to key in on Fant as well, but he will get enough volume. I'm going to start on Noah Fant. He's ranked number 9 for me in tight ends this week. Green Bay versus New Orleans. Mercedes Lewis, Tanyan, whoever, Sternberger. I'm staying away from tight end in Green Bay. Here's the deal. Aaron Rodgers likes Mercedes Lewis. So Mercedes Lewis is going to get in the field. How about this, Green Bay? Find any receiver to complement Devontae Adams, for crying out loud. But Allen Robinson and Valdez-Scantling have been playing better this season, so I'll give them credit where credit's due. New Orleans, Jared Cook is a start for me, but I'm not starting like Josh Hill or Taysom Hill or anything like that. Kansas City, Travis Kelce, weekly start. He's in the top 10 again. Mark Andrews, I don't have a great grade on him this week, but you got to start him. It's Mark Andrews. Start him. He's going to be a factor every week. So there you go. There's the full boat of games. Live stream, I'll get to your questions in just a second here, but some waiver wire and some daily fantasy plays. Drew Sample has a crazy computer projection for me, so for that reason, I think daily fantasy rotate him in some lineups. But I'm not playing him in like redraft or dynasty or any of my fantasy leagues. Jonnu Smith is a start in every category for me. I think you could probably pick him up off of waivers still. Logan Thomas is still somebody you could pick up off of waivers. Look, Washington's offense isn't great, but they target Logan Thomas a lot. He gets quality targets in the red zone as well. If you watch the games, he's a start. Greg Olsen, like standard touchdown only, could be there. And I mentioned Gesicki before. Is he more like we saw in week 2, or is he more like we saw in week 1? We'll find out a little bit more in week 3. Still a little bit too many questions for me to risk it for him, given that you can still get like a Logan Thomas or Jonnu Smith off of waivers in most scenarios. But Gesicki, if you need a tight end, you want to take a bet on one. Again, I would take a bet on Logan Thomas before, but I wouldn't argue against that.